G'day, guys and gal. When people talk about the strongest characters from fantasy, everyone's always like, ooh, Sigma can swing his hammer so hard, or it's obviously Nagash, the boniest boner who ever boned. Some intellectuals might mention pre-zombie Lord Kroak, but there is another who stands above the rest. A man so powerful that the gods of chaos begged for mercy before him. A swordsman so great he prevented the apocalypse with nothing but a flaming sword and unending hatred. He also had the two of the most powerful elven gods tugging him off at the time, but that's irrelevant. Something I'm really excited to share with you guys, an artwork I've been working with the artist Pietro Bova on. Aenarion had arguably the most epic moment in all of Warhammer Fantasy lore. Him and his dragon took on 4 greater demons of chaos, one for each god. Now you might be like, Majorkill, other characters have churned through greater demons like they were Timmies, and yes they have, but not 4 of the most powerful greater demons at one time, bitch. Everyone was like, oh Sigma, oh wow, you killed Kabanda, you're so cool and tough. But Aenarion did that, times 4. It's time this legendary warrior got the acknowledgement and respect he deserves. Hence, I got this moment immortalized as a legendary bit of artwork which is exclusively available to buy on Displate. Displate being a company that prints onto metal canvas and sends it to you. You can either get the standard version, which is, pretty nice, or you can get the XXX Big Dick Chungus version, which is a 3-piece artwork. The sides are in medium and the middle is in large. That's important, if you don't buy it like that, it'll look retarded. Using my link below you get 20% off and also massively support the channel. When mine arrives, I'm going to hang it over my bed, and when some chick comes over to have intercourse with me, they'll see it and they'll be like, what is that? And I'll be like, it is salvation. And then they'll get super moist and then they'll have epic sex with me. This is all speculation, but I'm pretty confident that will be the case. The more of these we sell, the more artworks I'll get commissioned for you guys, so please consider having a look. Today we'll discuss who Aenarion is and all the beastly things he did. We'll also discuss the impact his legacy had on the entire elven race. Let's get into it. When the world was first populated with life by the Old Ones, the elves were some of the first peoples to be created. This is because the Old Ones were perverts and wanted something hot to play with while they did their thing. Unsurprisingly, genderless lizardmen just did not get their gears cranking. Eventually the Old Ones left a screw loose in one of their teleporters or something located on the polar caps of the world, and the teleporters collapsed, resulting in the disappearance of the Old Ones as well as a cum-bucket load of chaos flooding into the world. This was during a time where chaos had zero subtlety, it had no mortal followers, and the Skaven and Beastmen were not yet around, and no humans worshipped them, hence it was an endless tide of raging demons. Each race of each part of the world fought a vicious war for survival. For the elves, their sacred home of Ulthuan was torn apart. The elves did not have armies or weapons of war, as remember, the Old Ones didn't create them for that reason. Aenarion was an adventurer, so he was a bit more tough than the rest of his kin who sat around drinking wine and fornicating in their marble towers. He fought his way through the demons to get to the shrine of Aenarion, Aenarion being the silent phoenix god of the elven race. Aenarion was like, please save us. Silence. Then he sacrificed a sheep. Silence. And then he was like, alright, I'll just burn myself to death, how about that? Silence. I mean, Aenarion is known for being silent, so not sure what Aenarion was hoping for there. Anyways, Aenarion did a swan dive into the fire of Aenarion and immediately started to die in an agonizing blaze. Aenarion is like, oh geez man, okay. But he didn't actually do that because, he's silent. With that, Aenarion is healed, his burn marks vanishing, and he's consumed with the power of a god. He walks from the flame as the shrine is under siege, and he instantly kills the demon lord attacking with a throw of his hunting spear. He then picks up the demon's weapon and begins massacring the other demons single-handedly, inspiring the elves to do the same. Aenarion travelled throughout Ulthuan, liberating elves, massacring demons, and recruiting the toughest elves to his cause. See, the demons hadn't launched their all-out super invasion yet on the elves. They knew their main issue would be conquering the lizardmen, hence most of their attention was there. They expected the elves just to get bent over and sodomized, which was happening until Aenarion showed up. Hence Aenarion was able to team up with the legendary mage Kalidor Dragon Tamer and make their way to the Forges of Vol, where they crafted really cool high-level gear. With now an army backed up by dragons, mages, and Aenarion, the demons stood no chance and were swiftly vanquished. The elves returned to peace, although they now heavily invested in warfare and training their armies. Aenarion married the first ever queen, and with her he had 2 children, Morelion and Yvraine. Yes, the exact same name as the 40k Yvraine, and just as important. Before Aenarion could get comfortable though, a second invasion of chaos was coming. This time it wasn't full of raiders and pillagers and lesser demons. It was an invasion built for war, knowing the elves were now a capable race of warriors. Whilst Aenarion won battle after battle, the elves were losing the war. There were too many demons and not enough Aenarions. It was like playing whack-a-mole, except the hammer was slowly breaking and the moles were appearing too quickly. Calador came up with a plan. He was like, Aenarion, if we create a vortex of power at the heart of Ulthuan, it can drain the excess magic from the world and banish all the demons. This is how we win! And Aenarion was like, no. So Calador was like, why not? And Aenarion said, I don't know. Shut up. I said no, fuck you. Before their meeting ended, a messenger ran in and was like to Aenarion, yo, do you want the good news or the bad news? So Aenarion asked for the good news first, and the messenger said, well, the good news is you won't have to return home for your wife's birthday this year. Oh, that is good news, Aenarion said, relieved. Yeah, that's because your family's dead. See, there was a particularly nasty demon of Slaanesh called N'Kari, who was created during a time where Games Workshop was especially grimdark, hence N'Kari really liked raping elves, and he raped a lot of them. Unfortunately, it was N'Kari who invaded Avalon, and it was N'Kari who killed Aenarion's family, via demonic rape. Not good. Fortunately, however, Durthu was able to save Morelion and Yvraine and take them to Athel Loren, whilst the Everqueen held off N'Kari before, he got her. Aenarion didn't know this detail though. He assumed they all got ravaged, so he entered into a blind rage and swore to bring death to the Chaos Gods themselves. With this, he mounted his dragon and begun flying to the Shrine of Cain. Now all of his elven mates told him not to go, as the Sword of Cain would not only curse him, but also his entire bloodline. A bloodline that was closely tied to the fate of the elven race, but he didn't care. Then during the flyover, the elven gods, Barasurian because he couldn't talk, and Cain because he was getting a mad boner about the prospect that the chosen one of the elves was about to become a berserker, pleaded Aenarion to stop. When he ignored them as well, the Chaos Gods begged him not to, as they knew about the severe level of destruction they would receive. Aenarion ignored them also. When he arrived at the shrine, one final person pleaded with him to stop, the ghost of his wife. He looked at her and he wavered. Maybe he shouldn't do this. But then he looked at her again and he realised he must. Aenarion drew the sword and the world shuddered in response. Imbued with the powers of both Asurian and Cain, Aenarion slaughtered all the demons on Ulthuan once again. Like, yay, demons gone. However, Aenarion was now a salty dick. His family was gone and he had the sword of the god of war, also making him angry. He surrounded himself with the most bitter elves who had lost the most, and he took them north and created the kingdom of Naggareth. He also found a new wife, Morathi, that hoe, and had a son with her, Malekith, who at the time was not yet a bad dude. Aenarion became a tyrant who banished his close friend Calador for speaking out against him. Calador succeeded from Aenarion and led many elves south from him and his cruelty, pissing off Aenarion further. Before an elven civil war could occur, the final and mightiest Chaos Horde arrived, many times the size of the previous invasions and filled to the brim with the best Chaos had to offer. Chaos had come to end the elves once and for all. Even the demigod Aenarion knew that this force was too great in size and power even for him. Calador was like, fuck this, and took himself and the best elven mages the world had to offer to the Isle of the Dead and begun creating the Vortex. Immediately, the existence of the ritual was known to the world. The Slan of the Lizardmen sent their aid from across the sea while Chaos beelined its entire army to stop it. Aenarion has a moment of clarity and realizes that the Vortex is the only way to save his people, so he leads his army to Calador's defense. As expected, the Chaos Horde crashes through his army and slaughters them. All of them, except Aenarion, who blocked the path to the near-complete Vortex. Aenarion and his dragon killed thousands upon thousands of demons without taking a break. Eventually the four Chaos Gods sent in their chosen greater demon, blessed by their very own power, literal avatars of themselves. Aenarion stood firm, and along with his dragon he killed all four greater demons of chaos. In turn, him and his dragon suffered a mortal wound. With the death of the greater demons, Calador finishes the spell, trapping himself and his mages in the Vortex, which was a pretty horrific fate, as next time we see Calador is when Morathi tries to undo the Vortex, and he looks like absolute shit. Aenarion rides his dragon back to the Shrine of Cain and replants the sword, before dying with his true partner in crime, the dragon. Now flying from the Isle of the Dead to the Shrine of Cain is a bit of a hike and would require quite a lot of time and energy from the dying duo. Methinks that if they had sought medical attention then Aenarion and his dragon would have been saved. In saying that though, The price to pay for using the Sword of Cain was probably eating away at his soul and life force anyway, so his death was more symbolic than anything. Whilst Aenarion did save the elves from chaos, his actions regarding his tyranny as well as the Sword of Cain doomed them to thousands of years of infighting. Malekith was a master mage, warrior and leader, poised to be greater than even Aenarion himself. However, the curse of Cain twisted his mind and made him a sadistic piece of shit. Morelion was the ancestor of Tyrion and Teclis, heroes in their own right. However, due to the curse of Cain brought upon by Aenarion taking the sword, Tyrion eventually fell to Cain's influence and severely weakened the elves during the end times, whilst Teclis was born as a cripple who was also a manipulative piece of shit, although his personality might have just been from being an elf. Morathi would become a plague to the world and elves, and frequently play with demons and chaos, and the first Dark Elves were the descendants of the elves who went north with Aenarion when he founded his Dark Kingdom. Funnily enough, Aenarion is remembered for who he was, a legendary leader and warrior with darkness in his soul. Generally, ancient heroes that do bad things sometimes get more of an embellished story, but I don't really know how you'd embellish Aenarion anymore, like unless you say he fought the greater demons with his left hand while periodically punching himself in the dick. I think it was a really tactical move by Games Workshop making Aenarion, the first notable elf, a total badass. A lot of elves in other franchises have the issue of being softer little pussies, but not the Warhammer elves. Aenarion's favourite saying was better to be ashes than dust. What a cool saying! He'd rather go out in flames than fade away with time. From what I've gathered, the use of the Sword of Cain burnt out Aenarion's soul and left him permanently dead. Since the themes of spirits, ghosts and resurrections are quite common within Warhammer, especially the elves, you would expect him to make some kind of return if his soul was around. Eltharion returned as a spirit during the end times after he died, and then again in Age of Sigmar as an automaton. No one ever mentioned or attempted to bring back Aenarion, which on one hand, it's good as it shows his sacrifice, but on the other hand, I want to see the equivalent of the Doomslayer in Warhammer wreck some shit. Tyrion, who was said to be Aenarion reborn, was not even close to being as strong. Aenarion tore greater demons to shreds, including the serial rapist Inkari, whilst the same Inkari kicked Tyrion's ass. Aenarion was able to control the curse of the Sword of Cain for a very long time, and even regained control himself to protect Calidor and save the world, but when Tyrion took up the Sword of Cain he instantly lost his marbles. There was no one like Aenarion and there will never be again. And that does us for today guys. Remember, the Aenarion displayed is live and looks incredible. I've got them sent on the way to me now, so as soon as I receive them I'll show you how it looks in person, but why wait? Displays look great, the art is fantastic, and you will get laid, or your money back. Pretty sure Display wouldn't want me to add that guarantee in there, but that's how confident I am. Also remember the 100,000 subscriber stream is at about 6 hours and all, which I'll be doing with Chapter Master Valrak, Voldemort, and Rogel Dawn from Texas Speech, so come on down for that. If you enjoyed the video, liked it, and want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. Only $1 gives you access to a boatload of Warhammer hentai, including Morathi hentai, whilst $10 gives you access to the Majorkill hentai calendar. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more badass content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.